You know, a single smell can be like a time machine. It can just instantly zap you back to a moment you thought you'd completely forgotten. So how does that even work? Well, today we're diving nose first into the world of perfume to explore the incredible science behind scent and memory. And we're going to deconstruct how some of the most iconic fragrances are actually made.
I mean, you know the feeling, right? That scent of old books takes you right back to your childhood library, or a whiff of sunscreen just throws you onto a beach from a vacation years ago. It's this universal human experience, but the reason it's so powerful, well, it isn't magic. It's actually neuroscience.
So let's get into it. Your brain on scent. We're talking about a biological time machine.
Okay, so think of your sense of smell as having this exclusive superhighway right to your brain. While your other senses, like sight and sound, they have to go through all these analytical checkpoints, smell gets a VIP pass. It completely bypasses all that logical stuff and goes straight to the heart of our feelings and our memories.
So here's how that superhighway works. When you smell something, those little odor molecules hit the receptors in your nose. Those receptors then fire off a signal directly to something called the olfactory bulb. Now here's the kicker. That bulb is directly hardwired to your amygdala and hippocampus, which are basically command central for emotion and memory. It's this unique wiring that lets a smell trigger such a powerful emotional memory, often without you even trying to remember it.
So the most important thing to get here is this. When you smell something from your past, you're not just remembering it. You are, in a very real way, re-experiencing the emotion of that moment. Your nose isn't just smelling, it's literally time traveling.
Okay, so with that science in mind, let's look at one of the most ancient and evocative ingredients in all of perfumery, oud. I mean, this is a scent that carries centuries of history in it.
So, what is oud? Well, it isn't just wood, it's actually a reaction. It only forms when a very specific type of tree, the Aquilaria, gets infected with a particular mold. To defend itself, the tree starts producing this incredibly dark, rich, and fragrant resin. And because this whole process is completely natural, totally unpredictable, and really rare, real oud is one of the most precious raw materials on the planet.
This incredible rarity and its complex smell have earned it a pretty cool nickname, the black gold of perfumery. And that's a nod to both its dark, resinous color and its insane price tag, which, believe it or not, can actually rival real gold.
And the scent itself? Oh, it's famously complex. True oud isn't just one note. It's a whole symphony. It can be smoky, sweet, woody, leathery, and even a little bit funky or animalic all at the same time. It just keeps evolving on your skin for hours, a quality that most synthetic versions find almost impossible to replicate.
But not all iconic scents come from these rare natural accidents. In fact, some of the most memorable fragrances out there are born not in a forest, but in a lab, built from the ground up by chemists.
And a perfect example of this is leather. Yeah, that raw, rugged, natural scent. In modern perfume, that leather note is almost always a very carefully constructed illusion, built molecule by molecule.
Now, there's a big reason for this shift. The old-school way of getting a leather scent used birch tar, which was eventually banned because it contained carcinogens. But honestly, even beyond safety, modern synthetics just offer huge advantages. They're way more potent, they're perfectly consistent every single time, and they give perfumers total creative control over the final scent.
So, how do they build this illusion? Well, perfumers have this whole toolkit of molecules, and each one plays a specific part. For example, you might start with a primary note like Pseudoral LT, which gives you that classic dry, smoky suede smell. Then you could layer in some Sufraline for a warm, spicy kick, and add Isoease Super to create a smooth, woody base that helps the whole scent project better. It's really like a carefully balanced recipe.
And this is a very precise art form. These formulations follow established principles, almost like architecture. A typical leather accord, that's what perfumers call a balanced blend of notes. It might be 50 to 60% primary leather molecules, supported by a mix of other synthetics and traditional bases. It's a true blend of high science and pure artistry.
So, we've got these incredible materials, some from nature, some from the lab, but how do they get from a forest in Southeast Asia or a lab in Europe into the bottle on your shelf? This is where we zoom out to look at the massive global economy that powers the entire fragrance industry.
The journey of a material like agarwood is just truly global. You can see it here. It starts in producer regions in Southeast Asia, then it flows to major markets like the Middle East,
And you got these key distribution hubs in Europe that help it get to the rest of the world.
Let's look at the numbers for a second. Over the last 10 years, China has been the absolute powerhouse exporter, making up 42% of the market. But look at Hong Kong and Singapore. They aren't major producers of the stuff. Instead, they act as these massive distribution hubs, playing a vital role in connecting the entire global trade network.
And then on the import side, the demand is just crystal clear. Hong Kong and Taipei are huge consumer markets, driving almost half of all imports between them. This shows a really complex flow where these materials are brought into hubs, not just for use, but for processing, trading, and then re-exporting.
But this global trade is not without its challenges. One of the biggest is just knowing what exactly is being traded. Research has shown that there are potential misclassifications in customs data, where one type of agarwood-producing tree might have been incorrectly labeled as another, and when you can't accurately track what's being traded, it makes regulation and conservation efforts incredibly difficult.
And this all brings us to the bigger picture here, the constant evolution of our relationship with scent, from ancient history all the way to cutting-edge science.
Just take agarwood again. This timeline shows our long journey to even understand what it was. For centuries, people traded it and used it under all these different names. It actually wasn't until 1783 that the scientific community finally agreed on its formal classification as Aquilaria. It's just a great reminder that our understanding of the world is always evolving.
And really, that's the central theme here. We've looked at oud, an ancient material born from a tree's defense mechanism, and leather, a modern illusion crafted in a lab. The future of fragrance isn't about one replacing the other. It's about the incredible, mind-blowing creative possibilities that happen when these two worlds, ancient nature and modern science, collide.
Which leaves us with one last thought. We started with this idea that scent is a time machine to our past. But as perfumers create entirely new smells that have never existed before, blending ancient resins with futuristic molecules, it really makes you wonder, what powerful new memories are we creating for the future? What will the scents of tomorrow make us remember?